like Noah's already got these centers laid out for me. It's pretty nice of him. Drive this in. And I drive it in real hard because I want it to grip. I don't want it to fall out when I'm doing this.
He's a braver man than I. I'd worry about spinning. Hey, Luke, what's the spindle size on this? This is not 1 1/4 by 8.
I have no clue.
Okay.
Big.
It's big.
Bigger than the other ones.
It's the big kind. Yeah, I just took the chuck off of that, and it took like twice as long as I used to it. All right, now remember, look for the curve, watch the angles and the tools, and watch how he works the shallow curve. Okay.
Okay, with some safety goggles. Okay. All right, lock this down real good. Bring this on up. Make sure it's in there tight.
Get either side here.
So the first thing I'm going to do is like these little strings, I'm going to rip these right off because they're going to whip me. I don't want that to happen. It stings real bad. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and then I bring my tool rest up. I like it to be like right in the center. It's about good.
Can you explain how this lathe works too?
Yeah, so this is the best lathe in the house, but she's a tricky bitch. For one, sometimes it just completely quits working. And when it does that, you just gotta let it take a rest. We are all mechanically inclined, and we have never got to the bottom of why it does that. We've had electricians take it apart, look at it. I'm telling you, this thing's got a mind of its own. Also, so this is what's called the Reeves pulley system. It's like an old school electronic variable speed, and it's great, but you have to remember to turn it all the way down when you turn it off, because the motor won't be able to generate enough torque at a really high speed to start it, right? And that's kind of tricky to remember to do that, okay? If you forget, then basically you have to have somebody sit here and spin this wheel while you crank that down until it gets close enough to where you can start it. Okay?
Is this a three-phase? Or?
It's a three-phase converted over. Yep.
But does the VFD need to be turned on over on the wall?
No. This has got
its own.
It's got its own. Yep. Thank you. So I like to start at the most unbalanced part and giving priority to the tailstock, because this is going to be really unbalanced and I don't want it to fly off. And typically what's going to happen is the vibration will shake it real bad right here and it'll cause it to fly off. So the first thing I want to do is just get it balanced, okay? So we'll fire it up. I hold my hand here in case it flies off. Okay, it's going. Tell when it's balanced. See how that's vibrating? Okay, so a couple more passes. And it doesn't vibrate anymore. So now we'll move this. And I feel confident, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Okay, so now it's balanced. What I'm going to do is kind of get my general shape of my leg in there. So I'm still roughing it out, but I'm just trying to get it close. I'm not going to do it enough to where, I'll be ready for those in a second. Just close. I don't want to take any measurements. I just want to get it close right now. So my tenon is down here. This is where my foot goes. I know this is going to be nice and skinny. I want to get it close, but not to my final dimension. Okay, there's some vibration coming in. Not sure where. Okay, now I'll go move off the center. So my first node is going to be about right here, so I'm going to leave that kind of fat. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm going to come here. This, the final tenon, the maximum diameter is 1 inch, so I got a lot of material to remove. Alright, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take Okay, so we got our story stick. I'm going to go ahead and start marking this off. I'm only going to mark 3 points. Here, here, and here. That's the only 3 points I need. So what I'm doing right now is laying this all out. I've got it laid out this way. Now I need to lay out the diameters. I got this guy, so this is 1 inch. Boom, this is 1 inch and 3/8, which I'm pretty close. Perfect. I come down here. And this time I'm going to try to leave the tool rest so I can access all 3 of these nodes at the same time. See, I can reach all of them. This one here is like 1 inch and 5/8, 1 inch and 3. Ooh, I'm a little undersized. That's okay. Go ahead and put that up there. Now I'll take the skew and I'm going to mark these points. Boom. 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 Alright? So I've got all the layout done. Now I just have to make it look pretty. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So I'll do this section first. I'm watching this edge up here go a little skinnier. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now this one. That looks pretty good. I'll do this tenon in real quick. The tenon, I'm going to leave it oversized because we have to dry it out. That looks pretty good. Now the final piece down here. I know I want this to be about 3/4 of 1 inch. Alright, the optimal way to do this would be use the parting tool to plunge in. I'm just using the corner of this, which typically doesn't work that good, but I'm okay with it, and I'm too lazy to switch tools. Okay, now I think I got it shaped, so I'm going to step back, take a look at it. Boom, 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 boom. Take a little off here. I'm not really trying to look at the exact details, I'm trying to look at the overall form of it. And you know what, I think this needs a little more remove here too. Okay, so we're almost done. I just need to cut the nose in. So I'll put this here, and this is a 3-step move. So I'm going to go 1, then I'm going to go here, 2, then here, 3. I'm going real slow because I got to give it time to cut. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. Boom, the final one. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to step back and look again. Good enough. Good enough for today. Okay, so there's roughness in this. It looks pretty good if you turn it off, but you see like all the little marks and stuff from the tools? That's because this piece there was some vibrations on it for some reason, and I didn't like it. Oh, here's a good point. So here's another one I turned. Remember when I said that I think I went a little under right here? I did. And you can tell when I hold this piece up to it, right? But is that close enough to float? I would probably float that. Because these are going to be about this far apart and it's a little bit harder to tell, okay? Yeah, looks pretty good. So, a couple options with finishing is, my favorite finish to do on these that is really cool and really interesting is actually just do a spoke shave finish on it. Just take it off the lathe and go back and finish it with a spoke shave. It adds a texture that people like to touch and it looks really good. But if you don't want a spoke shave finish, you can just sand it while it's up here. So just take you some sandpaper. This is 120. You just sand. Because this is green lumber, it doesn't sand all that great. It clogs up pretty quick. You see that? So you might have to go through a lot of sandpaper. You'll notice that because first of all, it's maple, so it's very heavy, and it's also wet, so like the dust is just falling straight down. It's not like sanding pine and it just creates a cloud. Is that when you do your final passes, do a real light touch. Real light. Alright, so let's look at just that one section. And you can see there's a difference. Right? I got rid of those vibration marks.
It's like fish scales there.
Yeah, that's just because of the vibration. Sometimes some of these pieces will cut really nice, but for some reason, every now and again, you'll get a little vibration in it, and that's what it looks like. And you just deal with it.
Can I ask you a question about, so this top part here, is this what goes and gets eventually the wedge and the glue joint?
Correct.
So do you treat that any differently, like conceptually, or do you just you just get it to where it needs to be for now and then you deal with it later?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, you don't need to sand it or anything right now because this is going to shrink. And something that we'll talk about in the Windsor chair portion is wood is predictable in how it expands and contracts. And it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So tangentially, it shrinks 2 to every 1, it shrinks radially. So what that means is that this is going to dry and turn into an oval, right? So we know it's going to do that. It's definitely 100% going to do that, no doubt about it. So there's no sense in trying to turn a round tenon on it now, right? We'll just let it sit, we'll let it air dry, we'll stick it in the kiln, dry that tenon out, and then when it's sucked all the moisture out and it looks like an egg, then I actually have a little tool, a little pencil sharpener that you'll stick it in. You can also put it back on the lathe and just turn it
It's
down.
like clay. Like you stop and then you bring it back and then you do the trim work. That's
Exactly, yeah. Do you happen to have the one I turned on day one? I bet you it looks like an oval right now.
Is the first one. That was the first one.
Okay, let's see that.
This one too.
Here you go. Not too much. Yeah, this one's good. Okay, so look at this end. Oh, this was Logan's. But this just started, but if you look at the end of that, you can tell it's an oval.
This one's going oval on you too.
Yeah, and it's just started. It's going to go way oval, where you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's an oval. Okay, so that's the process on turning legs. We're just having you do this bamboo style because there's a lot of good exercises to do it. You know, using that rough and gouge, using the parting tool and then also using the skew. But when you actually make your chair, you don't have to do this leg. You can do like a cigar style leg, which is a little bit more contemporary, and I imagine most people will probably end up using that anyway, because that's what's popular right now, is just real simple, clean legs. And it's easier than this one.
So the vibration comes from the wood bowing because it starts to get too thin. It's long and thin, it's going to bow. Wood is flexible, right? So the thin parts, the thinner you get the thin parts, the sooner it'll bow, the more chatter you'll get, okay? So my recommendation is to turn the thickest parts first, turn this section first. I mean, you can do it as Luke did it, but I would turn this section first and then work your way towards the tailstock and then do this bit last. But like I said, you could do it the way Luke did it too.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'll show them the... Okay, so this tool here is called a steady rest, and you can actually mount that on the lathe and then make those rollerblade wheels run up against this, and it'll prevent that. But you could... That's too much fucking around. So you can just take your hand and just put your hand back here. You can hear it going zzz, zzz, zzz. So it took those marks out, but it put different marks in because there's vibration there. When's the last time this was sharpened?
Delicate?
Tuesday morning?
Okay, let's do
like the spectrum of it.
Okay, so this is another thing that will help you get that vibration. And usually before I do my final finishing passes, yeah, let's try that. There's water in better. Yeah. There it is. All right, so that's the process. Once you get accustomed to it, it goes really fast. Okay? And then you even get faster. Like that's the first one, you know, after I do 3 of them, there is no wasted movements at all. My tools go all back in the same exact spot and I don't even have to look. I just reach. There's no wasted movement. You'll get used to it. Any questions?
So by 3:30, you know, we expect you to be knocking them out like that.
Better get to it. Let's get started.
Yeah, and when you do the chair, you'll start getting pretty proficient by the end of it. Because there's, you know, what is it, 9 turning